then I started to understand more what my mother say when she come through, and it's a spirit here now. I feel it very strong. It's hit my solar plexus very much now, so it can be hard to speak. I think that it's my mother that is coming through, because I started to talk about her, that she come through before I knew God, before Jesus Christ was standing in my home and took me on this 21 years journey. And it is September 19, 2021 today. So she come through one night, and I know it was for real, it was not a dream. I was up to upper room, and I know when I am in the upper room, because every time I have been to the upper room, it is dark brown old oak tree, wood around in the room. It can be in the stairs and it can be on the walls, but it's always those old oak tree panels. And it was look almost like a hospital. The hall, the corridor hall, but it was very shining, and it was very white around the wall, and on the floor was like glass, Milky Way, and but far away I saw that it was like a wall of old oak tree. In that over from wall to wall, and a door, but the door inside that dark old oak tree wall, that door, it was open, the door. And so I walk closer to that wall, and then I saw a person was standing there, but the person was not looking at me. And the closer I come to that person, the more worried that person seems to be, and trying to hide from me. But it was like too late for that person to go into that open door and run away. So it was standing in the corner of the oak tree wall and the white wall that was on the side of the corridor. And then when I come close, it had no way to hide, so this person turned around, and when she turned around, I saw it was my mother. And I didn't know God. I was thinking like most people that not believe in God, and even those that believe in God, or they believe in Jesus, they think that there is nothing after death. Those Christian people, that believe in Jesus as God, they think that we are laying in a grave under the ground, laying in the grave and wait for to come up to God. And I know that it isn't like that. But in that time, when I saw my mother up in the upper room in heaven, I asked her how it is. How is it to be dead? I asked her. So crazy, but I didn't know. And she be not angry, but it's like she was thinking, you are so stupid. You are so stupid. Her face looked like that. She didn't say anything. Instead, she answered me and said that you on earth, you think there is only one God, but we are many, she say. She say this, you on earth think there is only one God, but we are many. And I know she don't talk about one God. That was not in her talking. It was she talking about many less powerful gods. Powerful but less than the only God. God can't be in many places in once. He's sending out what we call angels, and it's what is like it is small gods that my mother was talking about. And then when I go down and go into asagods, and I have not thinking about them as living people, but my experience of them since before, it have been that they are coming through and show up for me. So in some way they must live like, they maybe live it like an energy. Now my mother is forcing me. She pushed me in some way. I don't know what she's want to talk about yet. She's here. I see her as it is my mother. I recognize her. And she's standing here, and she have this eggshells color dress on her, like a monk dress. But she is much taller than she was in real. She say, real? She say, once she say to me that from heaven, she say that I was talking to my mother in English, and my mother couldn't speak English, and I say to her, "Oop, I talk to you in English, and you don't understand what I'm talking about." And she laughed at me, and she say, "No, I can English," she say. because in this way of telepathy, there is a universe language, so it changed to be so she understands English. They understand every language. Nothing is hidden from them. They know every language. If you have question about that it's like translating, because it's in a spirit, and it is like a telepathy talking for them, so they understand everything. So she say that to me, so I know it, that it doesn't matter that I speak English, and she couldn't speak. She understand me anyway. It's so typical. My mother, she's here and she take away dust on my things now, and she take a finger and hold it on my television, and it's dust coming on her finger, and she look at the finger, because she was so perfect in everything. Her home was always clean. So she don't like my home because I don't have it. I never got it from her, or else she took it away, because she always cleaned up after me. So I never learned from child to be clean. I have never had a home that have been clean. I know where things are most of the time, but I take away dust and these things, but it's going quicker to be dust than what I take it away. That's the problem. I have other things to do than to clean up the whole time. Not like her. I'm very much like my father, very much. So she said that I should tell you. And I don't know what she means with that. It's about this with small gods. She say I didn't say that. So I asked her to explain what she means when she come through, because now we have coming closer. I have coming closer to heaven, so I can talk to her better than I did then, because I understand more. And so Mother explained for us how you wanted to tell us about heaven from your side. And yeah, and she said it's true that I know she is in like in the center of heaven, and she working with to bring people to different places in heaven. It was one time I met an angel, and we were sitting and talking. I was waiting. Both she and I was waiting for the bus. It was a very old woman, and she said she knew my mother. She said to me, and she said, now I realize something she said that I didn't knew in that time. It was in the late 80s. I met this angel, and she said to me that you look that like you are from Israel. She said to me. She said that. She said that I look like I come from Israel. And she said that she knew my mother, and where we was sitting and talk, it was about 3-4 hours to drive with a car to that place. She said that she was working with my mother, but today, in that time, I realize now that's what my mother was coming here for me to remember this time, because when the angel and I was sitting and talking, and she said, you look like you are from Israel, she said to me, and I'd be very surprised because I didn't know anything about God and the Bible, so I was surprised that she said I was from Israel. And then she said to me that she knew my mother. She had been working with my mother, she said. And I didn't understood. No, today I understand. That's what I was saying to my mother, that I know better today than when I talked to her in that time. It's come true now. That angel, she said she had been working with my mother, and she described my mother not from how she looked like. She described my mother as a very wise woman, she said. She was a very wise woman. And now when I talk about this meeting, I understand what she was saying, because she was saying she was working with my mother, and I didn't understood because I thought it was in that city far away that they were working together, and I'd be like a question mark. I didn't get it together, these things. But what she was talking about was that they were working up in heaven. She was working with my mother in heaven, and she come down to meet me, and she wanted to tell me about that I was from Israel from the start, and that makes very sense for me now when I have done my DNA, that on my mother's side I reached down to Jesus. So that's, and it's like I always have, since Jesus Christ come, I have always felt like, and I can see it also, that I go like a parallel to Jesus. I am a woman, a female Jesus. I go exactly the same as him, and it makes sense that she say I was from Israel. If she should be more clear, she should say I was from Palestine. But she say Palestine, I knew less than it was better for her to say Israel. So my mother say here that she was sending this woman down to me. And this woman, I met her 2-3 times later on also, but suddenly one day she was away, and no one knew where she come from, and no one could tell where she moved. She was only gone, and she told me when I was in her home, she told me that she was hit. It was evil people that come to her home and threw rocks into her window, crush it, and she had very, very hard to be there in that place where she lived. It was something with that she was hunted so very, very much. It was like someone wanted her go away because she was too close. She was too close to me, and I should have known maybe everything if I have stayed with her and talked to her. So it was not time for me to know everything, and maybe she should have told me everything what's from heaven. And I know that she had plans, she said, to open up a school to teach people. She had plans she showed me the house where she said she should open up a school in the information place. But there were enemies to her, so she never come to open up that school. So something was it with her that she had very much contact with heaven and come from heaven also down to meet me. And that's sad. And I must ask my mother, is it why you wanted to come here and talk, for me to understand this meeting with that woman? And I have very much pain in my forehead now. It's very much now going on with spirit things. Is it something you want to tell more, Mother? Is it something